Welcome to the Sam Jack podcast. I'm not a professional, but wait, I am. And that subtitle really goes to the core of what this podcast is all about. It's all about the creative professional, specifically in production, broadcasting, entertainment. If you're an entrepreneur, a creative, a musician, an artist, what it's like to carve your own path. Sometimes we feel like, oh my gosh, we're just the best, we're just so unique, and then sometimes it's kind of feast or famine. You feel like, wait, am I really a professional? What am I doing here? So I want others to share their story with me and share that with you. This episode is really right up that alley with my old college friend Sergio Celli. Sergio is a writer, producer, and director. You might know him from his original viral video, We Got That B-Roll. You might know him from his work on Key and Peele. He's done a ton of great commercial work and other narrative work, short form and long form. And we sit down and have a great conversation with his process, his background, and lately he's been doing a lot of great videos around AI and what it's like to work with AI in the video space, and to very comical and odd results. So here's my conversation with Sergio Celli. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And remember, hit that notification bell if you want to stay notified when more videos come out. Got a wide variety of videos on this channel. And also, when you like and subscribe and you comment, you can put a thumbs down if you want. Commenting, just keep it civil. Constructive criticism is always nice. But of course, we love that positive comments as well. Whatever comment, whatever interaction you have, it really helps us grow and reach other people of like minds to grow this channel. So thanks again, and here's my conversation with Sergio. Viral Media Network presents the Sam Jack Podcast. I'm not a professional, but wait, I am. Today's guest, writer, producer, director, and mushroom forager, Sergio Celli. Welcome to the Sam Jack Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's once again time for the Sam Jack Podcast. I, of course, am your host, Sam Jack. And with me today is Sergio Celli. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today, Sergio?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Now, Sergio is a writer, director, actor, producer, man of many hats. Someone someone a lot like me that does a lot of things. We go way back. We went to school together at Ithaca College way back when. Not going to say the year because it might date us, but turn of the century. Thanks for being on the show, man. How you doing today?
2015, I think, is when we graduated, right?
Sure. Well, a little later than that. Yeah, no. A little earlier. I don't know. It's fuzzy, over the years.
5 years ago? Yeah.
Sure. So how you doing, man? Thanks for coming on the show.
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me. It's really good to see you after all these years. Yeah.
Totally, man. It's been way too long, and I followed you over the years, and I know we've stayed in contact over time, a little bit here and there on socials and all that stuff. You're originally from Colorado, Steamboat, if I recall, right? Steamboat Springs, which is awesome. I'd love to visit. I'm like, oh, dude, I'd love to just go and do a ski trip out there. But we met in Ithaca, so just talk a little bit about your journey, why you picked. A lot of people ask me why I came from California out to Ithaca, and your journey from there, and then you eventually made it to Hollywood, and you've got a long list of credits to your name, and film, commercials, web, Funny or Die. I mean, you name it. You've got a ton of great clients. But talk a little bit about your journey for those that don't know.
Sure. I went to Ithaca College. I was in high school in Steamboat Springs, and Ithaca. Quite frankly, I couldn't get into like USC or UCLA. I mean, that was impossible. And I didn't have the GPA. And so we started looking at other good film schools. I knew I wanted to do film. I got really into film. I think it was junior year of high school. They actually had like a little like exploratory film class where you got to like make videos and learn how to edit, and it was like very transformative. It was like I got hooked really like pretty immediately. I always like liked that kind of stuff, but when I actually learned how it was done, I just like loved it. And there was in particular, like I know exactly the day I got hooked on being a filmmaker, which was I'd written like this silly like Goodfellas parody thing, and my film teacher was really cool, and he's like, "Let's do a night shoot because it'll look better at night." And so we like all met up at the school at like whatever 9 o'clock at night and shot till like 2 in the morning. And we thought it'd look cool if there was smoke, so like he let us like light cigarettes, and this was all like mind blowing when you're 17.
Don't have a smoke. Don't actually have a proper smoke machine. Just use
Yeah, we know
cigarettes.
smoke machine.
Human power. Human
Yeah,
lungs.
and of course we were like pretending to smoke, right?
Right. Of course. Of course.
And like yeah, and we shot like I think like it was like a 4 or 5 hour shoot, doing it from all the angles and learning about repetition and coverage. And I just remember like coming home that night, and my mom was like heard me open the door and like came out to see how it went, and I was like, I know what I want to do. I want to make movies. Like this, it was so incredible. And in a lot of ways, I never looked back. It's been a long journey. And at that point, we'd actually looked at lots of other schools, not knowing I wanted. I actually was always into. I'm in Portland. I eventually moved to Portland. I was like looking at like Lewis and Clark, and I was really drawn to like Pacific Northwest. I thought would be like a fun place to live. And eventually got there. But anyway, so Ithaca was like on a list of like attainable colleges that you could get into that
Totally.
also had a really good film program. And I did not get into the film program. I got in as exploratory because I had to get my grades up. So, and this just shows you when I want something, or probably a lot of people, I got my grades. I mean, I had like an amazing GPA the first like year at Ithaca because I was like, got to get into the film school.
Very motivated. Yeah.
Yeah, very motivated. Had like a 3.7 or something, and then it went down from there. But and I got into the film program.
Once you got into the film program,
yeah,
it went down.
yeah. Well, it was amazing. I don't know if you remember, but getting in was really tough. But to sustain it, you have to like keep like a 2.5 or something. It was like a pretty
Yeah.
easy. It was pretty easy to stay in. So that's how I ended up in Ithaca. I loved it immediately. I mean, I am originally from the East Coast. I was born in New York City,
Oh, interesting.
and my
Okay.
grandparents lived in New York City, so I'd go there a lot in the summer. We'd stay for like a month in the summer. So I always like loved the East Coast and like the people in the East Coast, and like liked just the whole energy and straightforwardness of East Coast people. But I loved Ithaca. It was great. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I mean, just for those that don't know, it gets shadowed. Ithaca College itself gets shadowed a lot by Cornell, that's right there.
Right.
But even though it's a private school, it almost has a trade school feel because not only, communications, film, TV, audio production, but the sports therapy, especially since we've been gone, I think has
I
gotten a
remember
lot stronger.
And it was big then too.
Scientists.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all these kind of more like vocational things were offered at this 4-year more academic liberal arts college, if you will. So it kind of had that nice mix, and then just geographically, it's nice rural. The lakes, the river. How many times did you ditch or like cut out early to go to the falls or the gorges or
Right.
go
A lot
hang
of
out,
outdoor activities.
frolic?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that definitely had its appeal. And then, so you learned your trade and very hands-on too. I remember
Yes,
learning that,
which I think.
and then also
Yep.
experiencing that. Yeah. So, how
Yeah,
did
the
that?
hands-on thing was like a big part of, I think, in my DNA as a filmmaker still, because there's lots of directors out there that um, never got their hands dirty per se, or like I also was like a PA pretty much right out of film school. I was like an extra for about 7 months until I could find a production assistant job, but then was like on the ground working on sets on really pretty like low budget movies, pretty bad ones, and you learn what not to do. But it was great. I mean, it was great. I mean, it was great in that for for a period of time. I've always loved being on set, but like the hands-on Ithaca experience of like I think within like week 1 or 2, They handed you a Super 8 Bolex, and they were like, go make a go make a film. Which I remember hearing. I ended up doing like a summer session at USC and found out that a lot of film students never even like touch a camera. It's like all either
Conceptual.
servicing someone else's movie that got picked or like learning theory or doing a lot of other things other than making films, which I feel like translated to like my sketch background, which was like grab a camera in with your friends and go out and shoot something. And like was definitely part of that internet surge of like comedy videos in the, what was it? Probably like late 2000s. I feel like
Yeah.
from like to 2012 was like its heyday of like YouTube was blowing up. Funny or Die was a really big thing. There was like College Humor. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. BuzzFeed I didn't like, but I knew that was like kind of on the end of it.
You even did a parody of
I
BuzzFeed.
did.
That,
I
yeah,
did.
that
I was
was
thinking
really
about
good. Yeah.
re-releasing it, but I was like, I don't even know if people even know what that is
I know these
anymore.
days, but they were such clickbait, and like, oh man, I was so guilty. It's like I just loved reading them and then hating them at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it was I love
yeah.
hate relationship with those. So
I do feel like it was the beginning of the end
yeah,
of like
right,
of good
right,
videos of
totally.
like, here's what it is. And now like everyone puts subtitles on their video and like tells you what their video is. Like anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
So I want to talk about that virality that you experienced in working with Funny or Die in the early days of YouTube and kind of the sketch comedy stuff. But before that, I want to know. So, because there was an internship, there was two main internships with the film and video program. One was in London and one was in LA. And is that what
yeah.
led you out to LA eventually, or did you always just have LA as a mecca, as like wanting to go there because that's the mecca of film?
Yeah. I'll say this, huge regret. Wish I'd gone to London because there's always time to go to LA.
Yeah,
And
interesting.
I really mean that too. Like I think if you're if you're young, you should just take. I was just trying to be responsible. I did get an internship at Warner Brothers and like read some scripts. It was like I got an internship at a production company that was like on the lot. Stephen Ruther's company, who did like, do you know who that is?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay. Okay. I was like, wow, you know who he is. You're like,
No,
okay, and I'm like,
no.
but you
I'm
know
just
his
trying to look
movies.
interested.
You
I
do.
probably
You
do.
do.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Face Off was like a huge one. Like remember
Okay.
Face Off?
Yes.
And I think that was like the biggest. He worked with who was the director? Something Woo.
John Woo.
Yeah, he did a lot of John Woo movies. So it
Yeah.
was like a pretty big. It was like a pretty cool. I didn't even like those types of movies, but I'd heard of Face Off, and quite frankly, it was really close to where our dorms were. It was like a 2-minute drive to the Warner Brothers lot, and also being on the Warner
Nice.
Brothers lot was like really cool.
Totally.
To be like 20 years old and have your co-kart and get to drive around the lot was like very fun.
Yeah.
But I do regret not just going to London and like doing whatever they did there. I mean, I don't.
Right. Well, just also the cultural experience of being in
Yeah,
London and being in the proximity to the rest of Europe and other countries and that kind of thing. And like you said, being young and having the ability to just kind of, for lack of a better term, F off for a little bit and just kind of sow your oats in that
yeah.
area and kind
But I
of.
was all business. I was all business. I was like, I'm gonna go to LA and I'm gonna
That's pretty
meet some
responsible.
people and like get some contacts. And it could have ended up being. I'll tell you what I learned at my internship in one of those is that uh, your script might end up in the hands of an intern that is reading it and just be like, nope. And that's where it can end for you. Like you can spend a year writing your script, got a good agent or manager that gets it into the good office at Warner Brothers, and it might just be read by an intern and been like, hey, I can't.
Well, listen, I actually have a regret because I didn't do either of those. Being from Northern California, especially at the
Yeah,
time, I don't really feel this way anyways, this way anymore. But I was just kind of like, man, I don't want to be in LA. I don't want to do that, man. It's LA, the NorCal, SoCal thing,
yeah,
And
sure.
I definitely was interested in the London thing, but I don't know. I guess I had actually a friend's dad that worked in a company here locally in the Bay Area, so I was able to just kind of make my own internship there. But I totally regret doing either. So just
Yeah.
for what it's worth,
Two guys with regrets here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I guess we both turned out good, and actually, I did want to be in the film program, but I somehow, when I was applying, checked the box of television radio, so I ended up being in the television radio program, and then now I'm working sports broadcasting. So, just kind of, and I always kind of had dabbled in film, so I guess maybe that leads to my next question is like, maybe you're not. I mean, now that you live in Portland, you're able to navigate it, and I think partly it's because you were down in LA for so long and made a name for yourself, but how would you give advice to someone like me or someone else that doesn't, maybe has to approach LA at certain times, but I think now it's a little easier with the internet and those kind of, mechanisms that have been democratized. But what advice would you give to someone that's outside of the LA process, but still wants to kind of, go mainstream or have their stuff seen besides just in small film festivals or what?
It's a tough question because, well, it's not tough. I'll say this. I do think now more than ever, with Instagram and TikTok and obviously YouTube, that creators are gaining a lot more power. And I mean, I think you can create an audience anywhere now, which that definitely was not the case 20 years ago. And it definitely wasn't the case where they used to talk about like having a really good reel, but the reel had to be something that was on TV. And now it's like your reel can be anything. It can be things you made. People actually would rather see what you made than like some like average commercial or some one line
you just
had
held a
on
boom
TV
for or
show.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I do think even though I think Hollywood is probably getting smaller, what's getting bigger is the like independent creator. So I think like I think would be if I was 20 years old or even whatever, 40 years old, I think there's something to that. And that, I certainly wasn't not in the business, but like, with these AI audition videos, like, I mean, I was basically, as far as the internet was concerned, plucked out of obscurity, so, and it happened really quickly, and it was like, wow. I mean, you hear about stuff like that, but like, I was just a guy trying to make one funny video, and it turned into like, I've made like 25 of them now, and they've gotten like 40 million views or something insane like that.
That's awesome. Congrats.
In just a few months.
That's insane. That's great. So for those that don't know, Serge has can I call you Serge?
Yeah, you can call me Serge.
Serge has made a series of these AI audition videos where he's auditioning AI actors. And I assume it's your commentary on the whole AI thing and, the sort of fear of loss of these creative jobs that we're having. We all know that, like, okay, coding, all the kind of like rote sort of stuff is probably going to go to AI, but it's the more creative stuff that I think that most people are fearful of. I mean, most people are embracing Waymo and these kind of AI automated things, although we're learning that there's really a human element behind it, that people are actually monitoring it and all this kind of stuff. But talk a little bit more about that, your motivation for it, and how it grew and the sort of repercussions. Yeah. Like, did you get more work out of it, or did it get picked up or sponsored, that kind of thing, or are you just kind of doing it for the love of the game and just your social commentary?
I mean, it came about by it was last summer, and there was a lot of stuff coming out, just kind of like that Hollywood is over, and there was a lot of fear. I think there was like I feel like that was like a big surge of like the new AI tools that were able to, like, for consumers to use them. We were like, holy crap. And I think my mom sent me an article that was like a very depressing, dark take on the future of the entertainment business that she sent me while I was on summer vacation with my wife and kids. And
way to ruin their vacation, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like really down about it. And I was talking to my wife. I was like really like very disturbed by it, because that is how I make, I'm a director, and like that's how I make my money. And so for it to go away, what was seeming like very quickly, I was like, well, I don't know what we're gonna do. And so my wife was like, I think you should just play with AI. Like I had no experience. I hadn't even like used Chat GPT or anything. Was pretty anti. I've always been sort of the last one to use things that everyone's using. Like I was one of the last. I didn't get a smartphone until way after people did. Um, and I've always just kind of been like, I'm not like interested in tech in general. I'm pretty old school. And anyway, so she was like, you should play with it just so you know what it is. You can have an opinion on it. I think when like clients ask you what you think about it, if you've used it, you can at least talk about it. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And so when I got home from our trip, I called a few people that I thought might know which programs were useful, and I just started playing with it. And this is like 10 or 15 years after my Funny or Die stuff, and sketch. I was like, oh, this is actually. I was kind of like, wow, like you can have an idea that morning and just go down and start prompting away and like have something. So there was like kind of like I was telling, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, like.
Yeah.
And then immediately though you realize the limitations of it. And the first video I made 100% AI videos that like were met with pretty like lukewarm to no response. I mean, like I said, like my internet presence wasn't. I had like 1,800 followers that probably had been following me since. Not to like talk about something else, like that had probably been following me since like Current TV, when I was on Current TV, and like have just
Shout out Current TV.
stuck with me. They started in the Bay Area, and
yep. A few people that work for them. Yeah.
But on average, like I would put out a video, maybe you would get 1,000 views. Like that would be like, oh wow. But like definitely under 1,000 views. And the AI ones like straight up confused people. And talking to like actor friends, they were like, why are you doing that? Like, why would you do that? So it was met with
how dare you kind of.
Yeah, like it was like met with, not with like hostility, but like kind of like sadness, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm just like messing around with it. I just want to see what it is. And I could tell like, it was very clear very early. Like, there's things it can do well. Like it's good at being robotic, of course. Like so, like I made a video where it was supposed to be like a stale interview, and like that again, like nobody really watched it. And then I figured out how to like kind of redo old commercials with using still frames, and that I thought was like going to blow people away. Did you see the Juicy Fruit parody commercial I did?
Yeah, I was like, dude, this was like looked right on it. I mean, for anyone that grew up watching those commercials, it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I really put a lot of time into that, and I got my brother, who's a musician, to do the music. I called a favor at like a post house to like, can you put like to make it sound like an old VHS thing, and they did a nice mix for as a favor. But everything, all the images were AI, and again, it was just kind of like it's like setting off a firecracker, and it just does a very But with all this knowledge, I'd kind of logged in my head all the things AI can't do. But I'd also like made 3 videos and been like, I don't really like doing it. It's not very fun, and it takes forever. A lot of takes to get it right. And I was kind of like, oh, I think I'm done doing that. I feel like I get it. And if someone asks me about it, I can tell them what I like about it, what I don't like about it. And then like, of course, right after I say I'm never making an AI video, I had an idea, which was like, oh, I bet if I was interacting with AI, that would be fun. And then I thought about, well, everyone's talking about what AI can do. I'm going to talk about what it can't do. And I have like 4 months of experience now. So let's do that. And then it just seemed like the easiest way to do it. Because I knew as a director, I'm always very much interested in performance and sensitive to like what an actor can or can't do. And I'd become very aware of what AI actors can and can't do. So I knew how to frame it in an audition scenario. And it took off like pretty instantly. It was like kind of crazy. It was just sort of like, it just blew up. It just did. And as far as sponsorships, no, I'm not sponsored. We've like, I have like created income through it. Like we've sold like t-shirts, which is like really fun. Like my wife is a designer. They blew up on Instagram, which is not the best for like just getting money for views. Like I've heard if you did those numbers on YouTube, you'd be making pretty good money, and like same with TikTok. But it just happened that my audience, and it just didn't take off on any of those other platforms. It does fine, but it's not like millions.
Right. Yeah.
And
But
then and then someone said like you should offer. I'd already been doing it before got busier as a director. Like I used to teach like acting workshops, and was even doing them through UCB theater in LA. Like my
nice.
friend Casey has a commercial audition workshop, and he would bring me in for the last class, and we would do like a callback scenario. Um, and so that kind of gave me the idea of like, oh, I could do that. Like now people see me as this director guy that does auditions, and those have been like a huge success. I've sold out like 5 classes, like over 80 students right now.
Great.
And it's a really fun experience. Like I was really nervous because it was just open to the internet, like anyone can sign up.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's been
I almost
really,
signed up, to tell you the truth.
but it's been really cool. I mean, like
Nice.
truly the most fun I've had teaching a class because everyone in there is like psyched. Other than teaching mushroom foraging classes, which we can definitely talk about if you
I
want.
definitely want to talk about the mushroom foraging. Yeah, yeah.
But like everyone there is like super excited to be there. I think that since they're like paying, not like a lot of money, but they're paying money. I think that kind of weeds out people, of course.
Yes.
It's like $75 for one class or $175 for a 2-day. So I think there's like a financial aspect to it that like weeds out people. But like people have been really funny, been a like really supportive environment, and I've been loving doing it. I've been doing it like every other weekend, and like I'm sold out until April.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that your intentions, I mean, I'm sure you didn't necessarily intend to make these videos to make a bunch of money. Obviously, you always want to support yourself and stuff, but you maybe intended to lead it to other opportunities in film and whatnot. And this is an opportunity in a kind of tangential lane, but it just goes to show that, the opportunities arise when you least expect it or in a way you're not necessarily expecting. So that's pretty good. And then I was going to ask about, so you obviously, with your experience of sort of experimenting with these previous AI videos, the straight, the non-edition ones or whatever, you were kind of already preposed to sort of gear your questions or gear the AI to get the kind of response you want and kind of for lack of a better term, like glitch the AI, right? Were you sort of prompting it to glitch, or just these things happen spontaneously? You didn't really know what was going to happen, and you're just going to...
A little bit of both. I mean, I knew that it wasn't good at nuanced emotional stuff. So I knew that if I got really specific about emotions or things, it can't do that. It's going to kind of do it one way the whole time. Like I'll talk, like the first one I did was like, let's go through a range of emotions. And then as a joke, I said, now just do one where you're not being weird because like AI is just weird. And then it pulled out a gun completely out of nowhere, which made my head explode. And I was like, holy shit, like this is so much crazier than I thought it would be. And which like, I think, what a blessing to like get that kind of ending.
Yeah, it's crazy the things that come up on those videos, like like a kid kind of spawns out of both of them.
Yeah, like that stuff.
They
I
go
didn't
to
know.
kiss, and they make a new arm and all this kind of weird stuff. And
voice swapping, face swapping, like they like mutate, like or multiply. They multiply a lot.
Or one person's mouth would move, but it'd be the voice of the guy's mouth would move, but it'd be the voice of the woman or whatever. Yeah, it's just really insane stuff.
Which like I didn't know all that. That I was like finding out as I kept pushing it, and now it's really fun because it has an audience. I mean, the one I just did, I think 2 weeks ago about the dishwasher. Did you see the dishwasher one? Where
I might have missed that one. Yeah,
it's really
I'm gonna have
funny.
to check that one. Yeah,
you have to check it out because someone sent me a message that said like, just so you know, AI can't load a dishwasher. And I was like, thank you very much for that hot tip. And so I did like a dishwasher commercial audition where like they have to load it and say a line, and like it's just they like flop it in, they like put it in under it, or like all these things, and now it's like
Not how a
people do get
dishwasher works.
yeah, they don't know how a dishwasher works. So now it's like fun in that people there's an audience, and like they'll send in suggestions. I don't always use them, but like I definitely read everything people send me. So it's kind of taken on a life of its own and like giving me ideas that I don't think I'd have on my own.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts.
That's pretty cool. And now, do you find,
Spotify,
since there is sort of a level of
podcast,
expectation from your
out,
audience,
or just search the
like,
Sam
are you
Jack
meeting that
podcast.
expectation, or you're
The
not really
video
burdened by it,
versions on
or
YouTube,
they just kind of just love whatever you make?
VMN videos,
it's always kind of a kooky experience,
/,
no matter what.
Viral Media Network.
I was really stressed out, honestly, in the
Thanks
beginning,
so much for listening.
because I had been sort of
We'll check
people,
you out later, and thanks for supporting.
and I don't want to like say
podcast.
I was famous, but I was getting a lot of attention out of nowhere, and people can be like, "Well, why'd you put up the video?" But like, you really don't expect it to like get the kind of attention you're going to get, and people definitely project. I was being projected as like this anti-AI hero, and it's not that I'm like not anti-AI, but like definitely wasn't like something I was trying to be. And I definitely wasn't out there being like, you guys have nothing to worry about. AI sucks. Which a lot of people, I think you could watch it and be like, that's what his message is. And it's not. I'm just pointing out what AI can't do at this point in
The
time.
limitations, yeah.
I don't know what it's going to do tomorrow or next month. I'm not saying we have nothing to fear. Like, that's not really, but I feel like, people, I was really stressed out. Because I was like, wow, like people now I'm like this thing, and like it means something to people that I felt responsible, but now I've let go of that and been like, I'm just a comedian and I'm making comedy videos. And yes, they do have like there is a message to them, but I'm really just trying to put a mirror up for people to see it, which I feel like the best art does that. And I feel like my responsibility is to keep having fun with it. The one that's coming out this week, like, is very different in that we end up just like arguing. Like, I haven't actually gotten to an argument with one.
That's cool. Yeah, I wanted to see how they clap back. The AI clap.
Yeah,
back.
and it was an updated. Like, there's a new updated one, and I put up. It was so like slow. I didn't even have. I had to be like, hey, I don't even have time. Like, it was just not going to be done in time. So here, I have another one for this week. But I asked it, like, what is your favorite movie and what scene do you want to do from it? And it's like Shawshank Redemption and the scene where he catches a kite. And I'm like, that doesn't exist. And we ended up like arguing, like, so I, through prompts, like, get into this argument with it about like whether or not it exists. And he's like really cocky, and this entitled good looking white guy being like, are you sure you've seen Shawshank Redemption? And it's like
the AI was telling you this.
Yeah.
Not you.
It's like
telling
fucking
the AI, yeah.
talking down. No, like, yeah, the AI is talking down to me. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm really excited about it because it's like, it almost felt like an Abbott and Costello bit where it's like a who's on first kind of a thing, And that to me is really exciting, that like if it advances, and it will advance, like I can still be a part of the conversation by like things like that. I was like, wow, I didn't even know we could go there. Like, where we could just argue about something that exists or not exists, but like I know it doesn't exist, and like all the humans watching this know that scene does not exist.
Man. Yeah, that's crazy. Now I had a question. Now I lost it, but we'll pick it back up here. So, getting from your AI back, kind of backtracking. For those of you that don't know, if you've ever seen the "We Got That B-roll," this is your guy. We've got that B-roll from way back in those early days of YouTube, and you've updated it. Now we've got that AI.
This is me.
Right?
I look cool. Yeah. Yeah, that was, and by the way, that was the first.
What are you doing there? You're noticing your receding hairline?
No, I was trying to do like the hair from that.
Oh, yes, the slip back. Yeah, exactly.
It's very slick back. Yeah,
But you had the mustache. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny because coming out of college and kind of being a freelancer, trying to find work, like that was definitely something I did a little bit, or kind of dabbled in. Yeah, and just like sort of like, okay, like let's figure this out. Hey, I happen to be up in Tahoe. Let me get some B-roll of whatever and all this stuff. So definitely, and then if you're in the biz, like I sign up for, used to be called Video Blocks, now it's called Story Blocks, but there's other services where they have B-roll and they have sound effects and stuff, and you see it on podcasts and YouTube clips all the time that they cut away to all this like kind of stock footage stuff, and it can be useful, but it is funny because it is a niche industry. Or like you might remember like the stacks of CDs that were like all the like official Hollywood sound effects or whatever,
Yeah. I got the term from, I worked at the Showbiz Show with David Spade. It was this Comedy Central show, and I was an assistant writer, and then I was a segment producer, and like they would constantly say like, oh, we need B-roll of Gwyneth Paltrow on the red carpet when he's talking about her. It'd be like the over-the-shoulder stuff. So that's how I learned the term. And we would get, this just shows you like how much things can change in even like 15 years. Like we used to get like the press, what did they call it? Like, the Associated Press would like deliver, the AP reels just of like B-roll of people at events, like when they're on the carpet or like,
kind of like
some sort
getting
of
images or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it would just be, they would be like, oh, we need B-roll of so-and-so waving. And like, you just like, there would be a catalog. So that's where I learned the term B-roll, and then was watching like late night TV once, and just was like, oh, like a guy pointing at an office file. And I was like, that's B-roll.
That's funny. It has a little bit of the Billy Mays kind of like the OxyClean, right, guy. Like you got a little bit of that.
Yeah,
in there
and
too,
it's like he's a car
like
salesman. Like, there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's a car. I always like saw it as like, he's like a used car salesman that's like very enthusiastically selling you the most boring thing in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Guy on a train. We got that B-roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy walking sadly on a beach.
But that's just another example of like, when I put that out, I was like, nobody is going to get this because this is such a niche thing. I actually wrote it in Sketch 101 in my UCB sketch writing class.
Interesting.
And it was like, the assignment was parody, was like commercial parody. And I wrote it for Sketch 101. And it's like, I can't remember. I think I posted it. I should post it. I'm just thinking out loud now. It's like 8 pages long because it was like everything was written out. And like the video is like 90 seconds. So I read this like 8-page guy pointing an office file. Dude, like, and all the transitions I wrote in there. And like, you could hear a pin drop in class. Like, it got nothing. And I was like, I have like a director's brain so I can see things when I'm writing. I was like, this is so funny. I'm going to go into class. And
why isn't anyone getting it? Yeah.
But luckily, my teacher, Nick Weiger, who's gone on to do amazing things, like is one of the hosts of the Doughboys podcast, which I know is like a big hit. They like tour the country. Was a writer on, Comedy Bang Bang. Anyway, he was the teacher, and he was like, you should make this video. And like, thank God he said something, because I just thought it was like, he like understood that what it was. And he's like, you should make this.
Right. And this is before it was the norm to be like, well, people were making videos on their own, but there wasn't like a cottage industry of like, yeah, you will have, if it's some sort of like thing, it will have some sort of traction online. Like you just sort of it was like spaghetti, you threw it at the wall to see if it would stick, right? And like,
yeah, I mean, Funny or Die was definitely, I think, in like year 2 of its existence. So like you had those huge Will Ferrell videos. Yes. Like what was it called? The Sitter or something? Or no, The Landlord. Yeah,
The Landlord, and then he has the one where the police interrogation one as well. Yeah,
right. So there were like,
but those were always done. Yeah, from
big celebrities though. Like huge. Yeah.
Did you ever see the Green Team one they did?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I love that one. But also because I worked at a solar energy festival where I was on the Green Team, so I was like, yes, the Green Team. Like it's all about the Green Team. So talk about your time. So you did the UCB theater after your internship. After you graduated, and you settled in LA. after
Yeah, I did
Ithaca?
UCB, I think 5 years. Oh, let me turn that off. I started UCB classes in 2007, and the theater I think had been around a year in LA. It was already a pretty big thing in New York. And that was like the beginning of, I feel like, getting a direction. I had like, I was like working, had done the current TV thing, and I had worked had I worked at the Late Late Show? I definitely worked at Comedy Central. I'd worked at Current TV, and I think that's where I met someone that was like a former UCB New York guy, and he was like, "You should do improv. You would be great at it, or you'd at least get something from it." And while I loved improv, then I was like, "Oh, you can just do sketch, and you don't have to like think about, you don't have to like be amazing in the moment." And that's where I found sketch, and was like instantly loved it, and was I had like a natural ability for it. And there was like people, actors everywhere, like UCB students and performers. So I would
Huge
see,
network.
you just network. Like I would go to shows every night. If there were people that were like kind of like the celebrities of the theater, people would love it if you would write things for them. So like I would just, you know, go up to them after a show and be like, "Hey, I wrote this sketch. Will you be in it?" And if they thought it was funny, they would do it. So that was just like a huge, big. That was a really big part of the beginning of like, I feel like when I really became like a comedy video maker was like UCB, getting to meet like-minded people. I started a sketch group with Casey Faye called Cream with Jacob Womack. Jacob Womack also started it. And then eventually we brought in Betsy Sidaro. And that was like a popular thing for a while, where we did like lots of live shows. Lots of our videos that we were talking about were actually Cream videos. I directed some of them. Sometimes we brought in other directors like Andy DeYoung, who now did like Friendship and like the Chair. Like I mean, like amazing people that were just around. It was an amazing time in LA.
Yeah, totally. And talk about how that kind of led into your more commercial work, because you've done commercial work with Will Ferrell. That probably led from the Funny or Die. I mean, did the UCB kind of evolve into work with Funny or Die? And then, I know recently you've worked with Jennifer Aniston
Yeah,
on the Smart Water and tons of commercial. I mean, I guess you just kind of level up as you go and your resume gets bigger. I mean, you were doing some directing there, but like as far as in the commercial
yeah,
realm, you kind of had to start on the lower level and work your way up slowly, or could you kind of
yeah.
pivot
So like the way
directly?
the commercial stuff came about was, um, like I got really lucky with one thing. I mean, I got unlucky. I was almost a writer on Key and Peele, and like I got to the final stage where I met with Jordan and Michael, and like it went really well, and they hired all of their like old like come up with buddies. It was like the list was like 5 people and they were hiring 4, and I was the one that like they didn't know, and then it was the rest of them, all great writers, but like people that they'd come up with and like knew. But I had a great interview with them, and they really liked my packet, and I did not get the job ultimately, and I was really devastated because I'd seen the pilot and I was like, "Holy crap, this is going to be huge!" And it was also very UCB in its style because Jordan came up through UCB. I don't think Michael did, but he had a big sketch and improv background, and I didn't get it. But then, like a couple weeks later, Jordan Peele called me and said, I created a position for you. Do you want to write and direct all of our promos? And you can do kind of whatever you want, and we'll be in them." And which was like amazing. And it was kind of like more what I wanted to do anyway.
Yeah,
And we ended up like,
short format stuff. Yeah,
yeah, short form stuff. And we ended up like creating this series, Von Davion and Mike critique Key and Peele, which were these really funny lo-fi things we would shoot at in their office at where they would write. And they played these 2 like weird TSA guys that watched Key and Peele and would tell them what they didn't like about the show.
just criticize it to no
Yeah,
end.
criticizing it, and it was all improvised. So like I was directing it though, so I would like be like, "Okay, that's great," and like it taught me to like think on my feet as far as how to deal with like, I mean, brilliant improvisers, but also like get it so we could contain it and actually make it something that was a 2-minute video, because improv can be kind of crazy and like go in all these directions. So I feel like I learned really quickly how to kind of hone something and like focus on an idea. And then Key and Peele became like this huge hit. That I was doing promos for them just gave me, all of a sudden I was a director now, because I had like made like, we got that B-roll and like sketch videos, but working with them, basically like Funny or Die was like, what are you up to? And I was like, oh, I just did these promos for Key and Peele, and I sent them to them, and they were like, well, do you want to start directing branded stuff? Which was like, there was this thing called branded videos where you would do these like 3-minute sketch videos, but like Coca-Cola or excuse me, a really big brand would pay for it. So it was like a sketch, but like you had to like fit in, usually very clunkily. Is that a word?
Product placement, but they
were like these giant content, like product placement sketches, and like some of them were like, I feel like I was the one I was like that took off was this one for Fiat that did like 1 million organic views in a day, and it was like this big hit. So then I started doing branded videos a lot with Funny or Die, and at the time they had this company, Gifted Youth, that was doing traditional commercials. And this guy, Dal Wolf, was running it. He created it. And eventually they said, do you want to, join the roster? And that's how I got into commercials.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah. And I was going to say, someone in that vein, totally different style of video, but are you familiar with Zach King, the YouTube guy? Yeah, he does a lot of like in-camera you might have seen stuff just in passing, but he does like a lot of like in-camera effects, special effects. You're looking up right now.
No, I have to. I'm telling this guy I can't talk.
Sorry, I know you have a hard out at 3:30.
Yeah, I have to go pick up my kids.
So hopefully
you can keep that in your podcast.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. My daughter gets out of school at 3, and I was like, hey, I might be able to pick her up, but I'll go until 3:30. So I appreciate it. I was able to, but I said, hey, as soon as the podcast is done, I'm on daddy daycare. So
yeah. My wife's out of town today, so I'm the only option.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And how old are your kids?
7 and 10.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, I have a 6-year-old. She's in 1st grade, so it's just great age, the grade school age.
It really is. Yeah, it's awesome.
They're getting older. I mean, we used to walk her to the line and do the whole lineup thing and wait till the class went in. Now she's like, you can drop me off at the gate. And it's like, oh, she's
I know, yeah.
I know. It's like those moments. It's like, oh, no, like she's getting older. And now she's...
we can talk about that for an hour, too. Yeah, it's crazy.
Know, right? The dad podcast. They're like reading to them at night. And now she's like, I can read by myself, which is like really cool. I mean, she has been...
That is amazing. My kids cannot read at 6.
I think I don't know. I mean, I'm not a strong reader, but I think it just has to do with, we were just really, just during COVID, we were all kind of together, and I think language developed.
Some kids pick it up too. Like, I mean, that's a whole other
thing. She didn't get it from me. Let me put it that way. No, but I was going to ask about, just mentioning Zach King shortly. You should look up his videos, but basically he does a lot of like in-camera, like camera tricks. Some of them are in-camera, some of them are special effects in post and whatnot, but a lot of them, I mean, originally they were just kind of short. He blew up on Vine, if you remember Vine.
Mm-hmm.
All you young kids, yeah. Vine was a thing for a while. It was like short. It was like what shorts are now, essentially. I know. They kind of shorts kind of. Anyways,
everything's Vine now.
That evolved into a lot of branded content stuff that he does, because a lot of stuff, original stuff that I saw, were just videos he made on his own, and then when you see kind of these highlights, you'll see, he actually was able to develop that into a commercial work and branded content. So again, for those of you coming up, looking to do this stuff, looking for tips and tricks on how to navigate this crazy world, just know that your creative stuff, even though it doesn't pay now, you stay consistent, you really put the effort forth, it could lead to some commercially successful stuff. Sergio is living proof right there. So, and then, so I guess, and obviously too, like having an agent and a manager and that kind of stuff is important to get you work, but maybe you could talk again as advice for people coming up, sort of the balance of like when you can actually afford it, when is the right time to do that, or when when are you able to just kind of speak for yourself and sort of network on your own? Like, what's a good time to like really pull the trigger and be like, okay, I'm ready to like have an agent that can speak for myself, that can help get me work, or what is it better just kind of go on your own?
I think that I had a manager for a while, and then I didn't for a really long time. And then recently, I have one again, and the big reason I wanted one again was I had a lot of projects like scripts, like I had things to sell or try to
Yeah.
sell, and that was a big thing. I was doing my commercial directing, that was like putting food on the table, and I just didn't feel like I needed one until I was like, well, I have these other projects that it would be good to have someone that can kind of pull the strings. For me, like I think reps are great, but no one's ever going to work harder than you will for yourself. I think it's pretty obvious when you need a rep. I think a lot of people get really hung up on it, honestly, especially like when you're just starting out, like, I need an agent, I need an agent. Yeah, it's nice, but like, there's also ways to get casting breakdowns and submit yourself. Or, I met a lot of my connections through, I mean, all that stuff I was talking about, like, Comedy Central, like the David Spade show, like I got all that through PAing, like in slowly meeting people and them recommending you and just sort of navigating your way through the system. And I got my first manager when like I was already working, you know what I mean? Like they did not make it happen, quite frankly.
No, it's good to know. And it also, like, we have a saying in the business, again, I'm more on the live broadcasting side, but you're only as good as your last show. So your reputation speaks for yourself, being as friendly as possible. You never know who is on set that you can make an impression of. Even if it's not the top dog, it could be someone over here in the art department or in the camera department that could recommend you to someone else or whatnot, or they have their own project that they could hire you for. So, yeah, I mean, I think it just speaks to, just put your best foot forward, and your work ethic and your passion will speak for itself.
I mean, I really think like one thing that I look back at now, like, my late 20s, mid 20s, like I should have, my big advice always for anyone is like to be ready, because there were so many people I met at that time that like I think really would have helped me. And they even said like, if you ever got anything, let me know. And I was like, okay. Like, and I had nothing. I had literally nothing, no scripts, no like pitches. I just like, and I'm doing fine now, but like, I think, you just really need to be ready, and it can be really hard to motivate yourself to write something when you think no one's going to read it, but you just really don't know when the opportunity is going to come up. So have that thing ready. Be ready.
Well, especially if you don't have a deadline or a thing to turn it into.
Yeah.
If you're just kind of open-ended, like, hey, I want to write the script, but there's nothing to push you to be like, well, you got to get it in by this time. If it's just a labor of love,
I got advice for that too, though.
Yes.
What I did,
just do it now.
No, I paid someone to like meet with me once a week. I knew for me, like a financial aspect would do it. And I had a friend who was a screenwriting teacher, and I was like, well, I don't want to take your class, but I'll pay you the same that you charge, and I just want to meet with you an hour a week, and like I'll be accountable.
Bounce some ideas off and help edit. And
yeah, it was really just like I would read the pages, and I'd say, oh, I don't want you to feel like you have to pitch. Just tell me if something works or doesn't work. I don't need you to like fix anything. And for me, money is always like been a motivator. Like, I don't want to waste money. I want to make money. And like me being on the hook, that's what like got me writing again.
Totally. Yeah. Well, maybe I'm gonna hire you for a week, and I can pitch you my scripts.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, because I never considered myself a writer, and then last year, I'm blanking on his last name, but did you see the movie Blind Spotting?
No, I know what you're talking about, but I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, Raphael, forgive me, I'm going to insert his last name here, but the white guy in it, there's Daveed Diggs is one of the characters, and his co-star. started this thing called the Bay List, and it's an offshoot of the Blacklist, which is kind of like a directory of film opportunities to submit your film to. And it's basically like, hey, submit your 90 page, feature length script, and we'll have, leading industry actors, producers, directors look at it. And, I think they selected the top 10 or something. I actually didn't finish my script in time because of just my own procrastination and whatnot. Because I didn't have someone I was meeting once a week with, but I had never really written a script before other than, small shorts or, TV formats or things like that, or small things for the web. But I was surprised, like, how much, I wouldn't say it was easy, but once I sat down, the times that I was sitting down and, using, I know Final Draft is a version, or Celtex.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to go off your point of, like, you just got to sit down and be your own boss of, like, just dedicate the time, put it on your calendar, carve it in. If you have a partner, have them hold you accountable or whatever it is. And it's, if you're in that creative space and you really want to create, I would definitely recommend just do it, right? And really.
You got to read the book. The War of Art also, like, really kicked me in the butt, because it was like, it's all about resistance and, like, the stories we tell ourselves. I wrote a script in like a month while I was reading that book, because I was like, you just freaking do it. You really, and I'd already done the thing where I paid a guy, and I wrote a script in a month, and awesome. I was like, and it was so fun. Yeah. And it was like, and it felt like that's what I do every day from 10 to 2. I write, and I realized, like, I had so much time, like, yes, I get, like, jobs and stuff, and I have to, manage my time differently as a freelancer, but, like, I got plenty of time as a freelancer to do that. And it also, like, gave me structure. And now I'm, like, trying to get back on that again. Like, the reason why I pushed our meeting till 2 is, like, I'm now, like, I just wrote an outline. And
because we had scheduled it at 10, but that was your script.
And I'm like, time, no, right? I was like, and my wife reminded me, she's like, you got to get back to doing the thing where, like, this is what I do every day, and do your stuff that can be like, push other things till 2. So that's what I've been doing. And I was really excited today because, like, I wrote 5 pages before we met.
That's awesome.
And it was, like, causing me, like, stress. The book talks about that, like, a lot of discomfort, especially if you're everyone's creative, by the way, but especially if you're, like, someone that identifies as a creative, not doing something causes so much pain and anxiety and stress. And I know I feel super grumpy when, like, I should have worked on something and I didn't.
Yeah. No, I'm living proof of that, because I always thought of myself somewhat as a creator, but I didn't think I was good enough. So that's why I pursued the more tech role as an audio tech or a camera operator, that kind of thing. And now that I'm, quote unquote, having a midlife crisis of, like, no, I need to create more. I've dabbled in creating stuff online and all this stuff, but it's that thing of, like, just go out and do it. And, there's some more produced stuff that I make online, but then I also just started a vlog where I can just daily just kind of express myself, and that helps kind of the repetition, the continuity. And yeah, it really speaks wonder. It's so rewarding, because then it spawns more creative juices and more repetition and discipline and that kind of thing. So, it's very zen in that regard of, like, you just gotta do the work, and then that repetition is that muscle memory of, like,
there's a great Bob Weir quote in that Grateful Dead documentary, like, if you work at something every day, rest in peace. It's something like, if you work on something every day, it's inevitable to build something. And it's true. I mean, it really is. And, like, maybe your first script won't be very good, but I guarantee your second one will be better. And it really is. And I'm someone that thinks I could have done more too. I mean, and it's really no secret, though. The people that you, like, go, like, oh, that guy, like, I mean, like, they just worked harder.
Yeah. No, everyone has the capability. Yeah. And remember,
they just did it. They did. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just remembering the book, because we do have it. I haven't read it the whole way, but it's almost like prompts, not every single page, but it's basically, like, goes through all the stuff you tell yourself to not do things. All the stuff to keep,
like, real. Yeah. I love that it was also it was real reasons. Like, you might have to, like, pick up something.
Yeah, or having
kids, you might actually need to run errands or something, but just don't do it. Do it later. like pay yourself first, as they say. The thing is, like, there is time. Like this thing of like,
Yeah.
anyway.
You just got to make it. I know you got to go here soon. I want to ask you a few more questions.
Yeah.
So you talked about your virality with your AI stuff, but then you had mentioned that you were more or less unknown, but you had blown up with, I got that B-roll and doing the Funny or Die stuff. So was there a hiatus there because you were doing commercial work, or was it just because of the nature of viral videos that you were just forgotten because it was so long?
Well, I didn't know that you had to keep making them. So I think that was my thing, was like, B-roll was a really popular video, and I did make other videos, but there was no like schedule, and it was just a different world too, like as far as I was still making videos, but there was never like a consistency to them. I would like have a batch of 5 that would come out, and then I wouldn't do any for like a year. Yes, and in the meantime, I was always working. Like I was, trying to make a living. Then I had kids, and then it was really about like, again, like I was directing commercials, and you just sort of like, I don't know, you just sort of like, you're like, well, which is wrong, by the way, but like, maybe I don't need to make my own stuff, which is crazy. Because once again, like once I started making videos again, it started with making a few AI videos, and then these AI Audition was like, and going back to your question earlier, has it helped me get work? Like, absolutely. Like I'm up for more things. Your name gets out there. People are always going to be more interested in like what you're doing. Like what speaks to you? Like what is your point of view? But yeah, I quite frankly just sort of, I don't know. I went to a little bit of like autopilot.
Well, it's hard to work on your passion projects when you're busy getting paid and supporting yourself. We work
right,
so
and
hard.
then you have like 2 babies, and you're like, okay,
yeah. Well, that too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, last question. Totally different subject. You're a mushroom guy. You're a mushroom forager.
Yeah.
My dad
this takes
has
way more than 5 minutes, but yeah.
I know. Well, maybe we'll have you on another podcast.
Yes, no problem.
But my dad, I know a little bit about it, but my dad has always been a mushroom forager, and he has the book Mushrooms Demystified, which is the old Bible. I'm sure you're familiar with that one.
Yeah.
But how did you get into that? And just talk about briefly.
It was like I just always had this fantasy. Like I live in Portland now, so they're kind of everywhere because it's just like the right climate for them. And during the pandemic, I started doing like a lot. I live near Forest Park, which is this huge forest in the northwest part of the city.
It's like the Central Park of.
It's sort of the Central Park, but there's like it's not developed though. It's just like woods.
Totally.
But like there's trails.
Yes.
But it's like I think it's like actually I have a giant map of it. Here's my pandemic in a nutshell.
Nice.
This is Forest Park, and this is all the stuff. This is all the places I walked.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
This was pandemic. This is what I was doing. And
how many miles of trail is that?
Yeah, 100 at least.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
So walking around in the forest, you just see mushrooms, and I was like, it'd be so cool to like know what these are. And once again, my wife, there's a through line here. She was like, found me a class at this place, Wildcraft Studios. She's like, you should take a class. Like they take you out in the woods and like you go find chanterelles. And I was like, great. And I did it. And like the first class I took ended up being like up in Mount Hood area. And it was just one of those seasons where like the porcinis were going crazy. And I found like 8 pounds of porcini mushroom the very first time I foraged. And like, it was like doing heroin, and like, it was so, and I like just had this like thing. I was like, I think they're over here. And like, I just like wandered off like away from the class and ended up just, yeah. And even the teacher who now I'm friends with, she was like, I've never seen anyone do what you just did. Like,
natural. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I ended up like trying to pitch a show like about like kind of like an enthusiastic comedian trying to learn about mushrooms, which has kind of gone nowhere. But in that, I was like, hey, I'm a filmmaker and I would love to learn more. And she ended up like offering me a job being her assistant on mushroom foraging trips. So I learned a ton. I've like
Awesome.
assisted like at least 20 foraging things, and now I go on my own. And it's just amazing. I mean, it's just a way to relax. It's basically a meditation. It gives you a way to like focus. Is your daughter home?
Yeah, she just came up and waved hi. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a way to like, just focusing on something where like that's all you're thinking. Usually your cell phone doesn't work because you have to drive kind of like out in the middle of nowhere.
Which is a blessing, yeah.
And it's just like, it's the best. It's so fun.
That's awesome, man. Well, I think that's a good place to end because I know you got to go.
Yeah, I gotta go.
We both got kids to take care of, but I really appreciate the time, Sergio. We got to do this again too. We'll go.
Absolutely.
We'll start with the mushroom conversation first next time.
Yeah, maybe we can. Like, I come to the Bay Area too. I'll hit you up.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be great. And next time I'm up in Portland. In fact, do you remember Jonna Touche? You remember Jonna?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's up in.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
She's in Comma now.
Where's that?
It's on the Washington side.
Oh, okay.
So she's outside of Portland.
I know. Okay, I didn't even know that's how you.
Town. Maybe do you pronounce it Kama? Maybe you pronounce it Kama. I don't know.
I've driven through it though.
Okay. Yeah. Apparently, it's a cute little,
There's
sort of
mushrooms
country
there.
Suburban town. There you go. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, who's also, an art director? I need to get her on the podcast because she art directed The Last Black Man in San Francisco, among other things. But
cool.
That's her most recent thing to fame. But anyways, yeah. Thank you so much, Sergio Celli, artist, writer, producer, Emmy Award-winning director, or Emmy Award-winning writer.
Yeah.
Emmy Award-winning writer. Sergio, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We'll talk to you next time.
You bet. All right.
Thanks. Be well. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out or just search the Sam Jack Podcast. The video version's on YouTube, on our channel VMN Videos, or youtube.com/Viral Media Network 415. Thanks so much for listening.